Hello, everybody. Welcome back to HNA's Bookcast, the podcast where the ink never dries. I'm Aseed.
And I'm Hafiz Abrar. Here, every week, we unfold the magic of stories, from the raw honesty of nonfiction to the enchanting realms of fiction.
Yes, and we will be your lighthouse in the sea of literature, guiding you to captivating narratives and insightful discussions.
So, are you ready to set sail on this literary voyage? Let's get started.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a very exciting topic ahead of us. And Abrar Saab, what do we have on the menu today?
Thank you, Sarasi. It's wonderful to be here again. Let's dive today into a topic which is a very fascinating topic about Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot.
Waiting for Godot. So is it Godot or Godot?
Well, it's Godot in British pronunciation, and in American pronunciation they call it. Can you
Godot?
try?
Godot?
Godot.
Godot.
Yeah.
Yes. So waiting for Godot, let's talk about the man himself first, Samuel Beckett. He was quite a character indeed. Born and raised in Dublin, and he was a linguist before he was a playwright studying French, English, and Italian at the Trinity College.
That's right. And tell you what, his linguistic prowess led him to Paris, where he taught and met the legendary James Joyce.
Yes, Paris. But the Emerald called him back in 1930, where he worked as a lecturer, and it was during this time that he began traveling extensively through Europe, honing his writing skills.
But it wasn't until 1937 that Beckett finally made Paris his home. However, his life took an unexpected turn when he joined the French resistance during the brutal years of World War II.
Yes, and against all odds, Beckett found his voice in the midst of chaos. He went on to produce some of the most experimental plays of the time. Eventually, he struck gold with his masterpiece, Waiting for Godot, which premiered in Paris in 1953.
Yeah, and oh my dear, that did bring him fame. His innovative storytelling and bold playwriting style eventually earned him the prestigious Nobel Prize for Literature in 1969. A life well lived, Samuel Beckett passed away in 1989.
Well, that is quite a life and a lot of achievements. I think it's time we switch gears and delve into Waiting for Godot itself. Set in a timeless void without any specific historical references, this play is open to various interpretations, right?
No doubt in that. When you have read into its reflection of the suffering and this disillusionment caused by the World War II, some even suggest influences from Jon Racine work that's difficult to pronounce, but let me try. Barreris or something like that, and Sartre's No Exit.
Yes, that is very interesting. And it is also noteworthy how it has influenced other works in return, with Tom Stoppard's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern's Are Dead being a prime example.
Absolutely right, mate. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the play, here are a few key facts. Its full title was Waiting for Godot, a tragicomedy in two acts. It's famous by the title Waiting for Godot only, but the full title of this play is Waiting for Godot, a tragic comedy in two acts. And it was written between somewhere 1948 and 1949 in Paris, and was published then in 1954.
Yes, well, this play, it belongs to the literary periods of modernism and postmodernism, and if we characterize it as a genre, it falls under the category of drama, tragic comedy and theater of the absurd. The setting for this play is as ambiguous as Beckett would make it. It is by a tree on an unidentified road at an unspecified time.
What explains it's a fascinating piece of work.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's dive into the summary of the play. So, what do you have for us?
All right, it is going to be a lot, but let's get into it. So, let's start by visualizing a bird confined in a gilded cage. Its world limited by the slender bars. It jumps from perch to perch, its eyes filled with longing as it gazes upon the boundless sky beyond its enclosure. This is relevant and similar to the essence of waiting for Godot. Vladimir and Estragon are akin to these caged birds, ensnared within the boundaries of their endless wait, their freedom restricted. They are captives in their own existential cage, and each day is a repeated fluttering against these constraints. Each night is a dream of Godot's long-awaited arrival. Now, this cycle, it repeats, mirroring the bird's vain longing for the unattainable freedom that lies just beyond its grasp and beyond those bars. So, waiting for Godot, it's a journey into a desolate world, the world of Godot, where a world that feels both familiar and alien. Now, picture this a sparse landscape with but a few trees standing up against a rocky terrain. Now, the atmosphere is thick with desolation. It's almost as if it were a mirror reflecting the futility of existence. Now, in this barren locale, we meet two characters, Vladimir and Estragon. Now, these two vagrants who have been left stranded with no clear purpose or directions, and their existence is marked by a constant wait, a wait for someone called Godot. Can you imagine that uncertainty?
I'm already feeling that, and I'm gonna fix what kind of play it would be on the stage, especially.
Yes. And it is a constant undercurrent, almost a character of its own in this riveting play. So to while away their time, our protagonists, they engage in what can be best described as a verbal dance. They are dipping in and out of trivial and often nonsensical conversations, occasionally even bickering amongst themselves. All of this is essentially a distraction and a desperate attempt to escape this existential dread. Yet they can't quite shake off the grim reminder of their dire circumstances and ambiguity of their future. But let's not forget about other characters, right? That fit in and out of this star.
And there are no many characters in this
Yes,
play, right?
yes, exactly. So we meet Otso, right? He's a wealthy landowner and he has a slave, you, a slave. Or
While you're talking about this character, I was thinking I have heard people pronouncing this word Pozo. So,
yes.
what's that? Pozo is correct? Or
No, it's more like pizza. It's a
no?
Otso.
I see.
Right. So these characters and their presence, it injects a dose of comic relief into the narrative, but don't let that get, don't let that fool you. It also serves as a stark reminder of the societal power dynamics, with Otso gripping the reins literally and Lucky reduced to a subhuman existence. Then there is also the boy. Now, the boy appearing not only...
Doesn't he have any name?
No, he's just referred to as boy, right? He is essentially serving as Godot's mouthpiece. Each message that he brings and deliver further complicates the scenario. And it just adds to the frustration of Vladimir and Estragon, sorry. Yeah,
That is
yeah, you can get these things mixed up. All right, so this brings us to the crux of the story, right? The desire to escape and to find a way out and to break out of the cycle of disappointment. But sadly, Vladimir and Estragon are stuck there. They are trapped in this endless loop of waiting, almost similar to a hamster on a wheel, running endlessly but not really getting anywhere. So, in the end, they accept their circumstances, resign to their fate. They choose to persist in their wait for Godot, their beacon of hope, despite that feeling, the constant nagging feeling that this wait might as well be in vain. It's a point reflection of the human condition.
And that's it. That's the entire story.
Yes, that is how the story goes.
Well, that was a brilliant narration you just made of the story. But could you explain the themes, or should we start with the themes?
Yes, I would like you to take lead on that one. So, what do you think about the themes that are in this play? I would like to hear your thoughts on that. What you think about that?
Thank you very much, sir. I'm honored. We'll have to peel back the layers of Waiting for Godot, a play that, in its very fabric, stitches together the essence of the absurd and the humor found in the seemingly hopeless and the seemingly absurd.
Okay, so the first theme that you can think of is absurd and humor.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh, Now, if we picture the characters, Vladimir and Astrogon, we find them amidst their bleak surroundings, throwing a sarcastic remarks into the void. You would see them breaking into bouts of silliness with songs and dances, all while trapped in an existentialist confusion and conundrum. And this sounds absurdly comedic at places. But let's consider this. Isn't it often that we find humor in the most unexpected places?
Yes, you're exactly right. I mean, life is a very practical joker.
Yeah, very true. Indeed, actually, the irony of life's absurdities becomes a laughing matter, and in a way, it's a shield against the harsh realities of existence. In fact, we all have had situations in our life where we laugh at the very in situations in the very face of adversity. I think I would especially want our listeners to comment on the moments when they have laughed in the face of adversity in their life.
Yes, so we will be waiting for your comments on this one.
All right. And now transitioning to another powerful theme that weaves its way through the narrative, the exploration of waiting, boredom, and nihilism. Our protagonists, the two of them, Vladimir and Astrogon, are in a state of perpetual limbo. They are in a constant state of perpetual limbo. Their days filled with the monotony of their existence. In their world, a time is an adversary. And when I was for the first time watching this play on screen, I can imagine it would be very much fun watching the play on the stage itself. It was premiered back in 1960s or back in 1950s. But when I first watched this play, I was in a fix, and I was very much compelled to think about how time would stop for someone. There have been movies also where time has stopped for the characters. But when I read this play, somewhere I think that this has been the very origin of such movies and such plays or such dramas where time has stopped. But then after that, we have time traveling concepts also. But the main characters in this play, they were trapped in the monotony of their existence, their world. For them, time was an adversary, a relentless foe against which they battle with mundane activities. You would find one character playing with his shoe, the other one waiting in vain, and the other one yet playing, or let's say mastering his pet, Lucky. Such a portrayal, do you not agree, is a potent illustration of the belief in nihilism, the conviction that life is devoid of inherent meaning of or value or any purpose.
Yes, I mean, it makes one think, right?
Yeah.
New.
Further, we also journey into the realms of modernism and postmodernism. Waiting for Godot blurs the line between the two, creating a unique theatrical landscape. Traditional forms crumble as time gets deconstructed and reframed through the play's cyclical view and fragmented narrative. Again, there are moments in our life where time has felt non-linear and fragmented, especially in our dreams. If you have ever had a dream, Mr. Hasid. Now, can we overlook the role of time, the silent yet powerful entity in Waiting for Godot? I don't think so. This cycle of waiting creates a sense of timelessness, almost as if Vladimir and Astrogon are trapped in an hourglass, and that also an hourglass where the sand has refused to fall. Time becomes a constant and ever-present specter in their life, blurring the lines between the past and present. Finally, we delve into the profound exploration of humanity, companionship, suffering, and dignity. Even amidst adversity, the importance of human connection resonates powerfully in the narrative. Beckett's play poignantly highlights the strength of the human spirit, even in the face of despair, powerlessness, and indignity. Here, I would recall Hemingway's novel "The Old Man and the Sea" also has some somewhat similar theme, where he propounds the idea of showing grace under pressure and under despair.
Yes, great. That's a great reference to Hemingway as well. So all of this is great, great themes that you mentioned. So let's just take a look at the characters here as well. I mean, we've taken a lot of time of the audience, and if you have stuck with us so far, thank you for that. So let's talk about the characters. And each of them are playing an integral role in unfolding the narrative that is in front of us. So first up, we have Estragon. Now, to picture him, visualize him, you can see as a man who teeters on the edge of helplessness. He's often struggling with simple tasks such as removing his boobs, and his reliance on Vladimir paints a picture of dependency and vulnerability. As you listen, consider this. Have you ever experienced such a relationship where dependency essentially becomes a lifeline?
Of course, everyone has faced such phases in life.
Yes,
I
yes,
think everyone has this experience, and the audience would tell when they write their comments.
yes, yes. And in contrast, on the other hand, we have Vladimir, Estragon's companion, who navigates the life with a much more rational approach and a grip on the linear time. Now, he is the catalyst driving the play's action and the one who suggests that they should leave and find Godot. Then we have the enigmatic Godot, a character shrouded in mystery. Despite never gracing the stage with his presence, he holds an imposing significance in the play. His absence becomes a resounding presence in itself, his name echoing in the dialogue, pushing the narrative forward. Now, imagine Pozzo, the wealthy landowner who brings a different flavor to the mix. Now, this guy is cruel and he is abusive to his slave Lucky, and he walks with an air of superiority around Vladimir and Astragon, and his presence brings forth the questions of power, oppression, and elements that can spark a very lively discussion. Now, Lucky, who is Pozzo's slave, is mostly silent, but for an outpouring of nonsensical monologue, and he is a symbol of oppression. Now, he is treated poorly and he becomes a living testament to the harshness of Pozzo. Lastly, we have the boy, an unnamed character who serves as the messenger of Godot. And each of his appearances that they mark the passage of time, and with his word, their weight The eternal wait for Godot, it continues.
And tell you what, this wait is not only continuing in the life of the characters, but also for the audience.
Yes, yes.
Before Beckett, the this was a technique of introducing characters on stage, that the characters would start talking about a character who has to come to the stage, and people would expect that now the character would enter the stage. But here, everyone talks about Godot, and he never appears, right? So that's a kind of, I would say, that's a kind of interest that keeps everyone waiting, or keeps everyone absorbed in the play.
Yes, exactly.
And that was a very wonderful description of characters, Hasib. Thank you very much for that. Now, for all the literature enthusiasts and thinkers out there, let's dive into the different critical perspectives that have been applied to Beckett's, Beckett's reading for Godot. I've always been confused in this pronunciation since my student life. And the fact is that we, in our class would make fun of many names. One of them was Beckett, so we would call him Bucket. The other one was Joseph Andrews, but I would not say anything about Joseph Andrews. Well, the beauty of this play lies in its ambiguity and open-ended, leading to a plethora of interpretations, each as fascinating as the next one. For the existentialists among us, the play takes on a different hue. They see Waiting for Godot as an embodiment of existentialist philosophy, focusing on individual freedom and choice. And the two characters, Vladimir and Astrogon's seemingly futile wait for Godot, may well symbolize our own human quest for meaning, questioning the value of external sources for fulfillment. Looking at the play through a Marxist lens, one might perceive an underlying critique of capitalism and societal inequality. Both so, our landowner is often seen as a representative of the bourgeoisie, with Strogon and Lectin playing the part of the proletariat.
Yes, yes.
Proletariats, right?
Yes, exactly.
And please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's fine.
These are the words we barely would use in our daily conversation. So sometimes this happens.
Yes.
The power dynamics, the poverty, the hunger present in the play all contribute to this interpretation. If we dive into the psyche of the characters, exploring their unconscious motivations, we enter the territory of psychoanalytic criticism. Through a psychoanalytic lens, Waiting for Godot is viewed as an exploration of characters' unconscious desires. Critics often liken the obsessive waiting for Godot, a figure who never arrives, to Frei's concept of Wunsch. Wunsch is basically wish fulfillment. There are repetitive actions suggest Freud's theory of the compulsion to repeat, hinting the influence of suppressed experiences. Each audience member may interpret their characters' actions, the actions by the characters inside the play, based on their own unconscious understanding, which can add layers to the play's complexity. Those who analyze the play from a feminist perspective engage in a discussion on gender studies. We can very well see the marginalization of women in the play, the play's absence or marginalization of women, and the dependency of male characters on each other for emotional validation might be viewed as a commentary on patriarchal society and traditional gender roles. Lastly, the post-colonial critics argue the play as a critique of colonial exploitation. Pozzo is seen as a symbol of Western dominance, while Lecky and and the other character, Astrogon, symbolize the colonized people. This perspective underlines the power dynamics, domination, and submission present in the play.
Wow.
That's it.
That was a lot. That was a lot, but thank you so much for that and sharing all of that scholarly background and the critical perspectives that a lot of scholars have had and how they are viewed from different perspectives and angles. And thank you for that. So I'm pretty sure people have learned, listening, have learned a lot from this and has helped them develop a better understanding of the play. So, like I said, we have covered quite a bit from the characters to the summary to the critical perspective, all of them. So, as we conclude this episode, I would like to encourage you to engage with the literature and develop a habit of reading, right? Anything else would you like to add towards the end?
I think it's very much important that every perspective the audience consider, they think about it, they ponder over it, and they add understanding of life to their perspectives, and their rather in turn the perspectives add some depth to their understanding. And on that note, we are signing off for today. Thanks for joining us on this journey through several Beckett's Waiting for Godot. Until next time, keep those pages turning and your minds questioning.
Goodbye and happy reading.